All right, James Tamou is free to play in round 25 after a successful night at the judiciary. The Tigers skipper was charged over a foul-mouthed spray towards referee Ben Cummings in the dying stages of their disastrous loss to the Roosters.
Pretty excited, obviously, with what happened. And again, like in there, I just want to express it. I accept my guilty plea. I don't condone that type of behaviour, but just to hope the severity of the punishment was just dissolved a bit to a lesser degree. So pretty happy with that, and pretty happy I get to play with the boys one last time this year.
Jimmy Tamou, he gets to play in the final round of the season. A lot of people called for this. A lot of people wanted him to get off. A lot of people wanted him to get downgraded. And he certainly got that. Buzz, you're not too happy about it?
No, I think it's outrageous. I really do. I don't know when you take the character of a person into account when you're handing down a suspension like this one. We all heard what he said. It was disgraceful. We've got to look after the referees. There's a statewide, in New South Wales and Queensland, shortage of kids who want to pick up a whistle. I'll tell you a story back in the 80s. I went down and covered...
That's the issue, where he turns on the referee again.
Yeah.
That's a big issue.
Kenny, back in the 1980s, I clearly remember covering a judiciary case. The cleanest player I've ever seen play rugby league was down there, Michael Cronin, okay? Mate, he was the world's cleanest player.
Yeah.
And he's hit someone with a forearm. And it was coming up to a big game. Everyone said there was no possible way you can suspend Michael Cronin.
Yeah.
You know what Jim Comas did? He put him out for a week, which was the standard, you know, it wasn't a bad one. But you can't take the quality of person
I agree with you.
into referee abuse.
I agree with you, Buzz. Like, this is my issue with having ex-players on the judiciary panel. They're conned by the fool's gold of the argument. He's a great bloke and he's coming to the end of his career. He might have one last game with his club if you reduce it. OK, you know what, we'll give him the good bloke rule. So what happens the next time a guy goes in there and he argues character? OK, part of his argument is his character. What metric do we apply to figure out whether he's a good enough character or he's a bad enough character to consider a reduction?
I've got to think about this, and I actually don't mind it.
I've got no doubt,
because in a court of law, they take character references on people to determine how long they get sentenced for.
They've never done it in this game. They don't do it.
But you know what?
They don't ask for...
Jimmy fronted up the moment after that.
Okay.
Fronted up, stood up, said he'd done the wrong thing, apologised profusely for it. He's had a career where he's never done this thing before. It's completely out of character. And originally I thought like you guys. But the more I think about it, the more I think I applaud this decision.
Did Brandon Smith apologise?
Brandon, I think he did, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. What's your point?
Well, he got 3 weeks.
Well, mate...
Well, he got 3 weeks.
Not every situation is the same.
And Smith questioned the integrity of the referee.
Well, this bloke...
He questioned the competency of the referee, and he applied it to he applied his as being closer to the Joe Hargraves judicial case, okay? Yeah. In round 11 when he tried for the downgrade. Now, they bought that case. They bought that. Here we are, where, again, he questions the competency of the referee. And he goes.
I think you'll find the NRL referees, they trained at Shark Park today just to get a change of scenery. I'm told they are absolutely filthy on the lack of support for the officials.
They're entitled to be.
Well, that's rubbish.
Why is it rubbish?
Andrew Abdo and Peter V'landys have supported the officials this year more than any official I can remember in the game's history.
The judiciary
Any official in the game's history. So for them to turn around now and say they're not getting support from the NRL is rubbish. Absolute
rubbish. They're not getting it from the two bosses. They're not getting it from the judiciary.
Well,
the judiciary felt sorry for a bloke.
Well,
so thought they'd give him a week less.
But they're not getting support from the NRL. Well, my issue is if they're saying that, they're way out of line.
So the good bloke defence cannot be part of the judicial process. It just can't.
Well, if something's so decidedly out of character as this was, you're saying that shouldn't...
That comes in penalty,
But didn't help Nathan...
That comes in the charge.
Hold on, when Nathan Cleary spear tackled the fella...
Well, that's different. It's a spear tackle.
No, but hold on. That was out of character.
But that's black
He's
and white.
He's a good person.
That's black and white.
But it was an accident.
This isn't black and white. No, because there's degrees of abuse, right?
Rudy,
You can
talking
say there's
gibber.
degrees of spear tackles too, if you're going to argue that. That's a stupid argument.
Anyway.
Look, the fact is, he turned on the referee at one point.
I understand
he
what
turned
he
and went
did.
back at him again.
I understand what he did.
You want kids.
He's
to take
suspended.
up
He's missing a
refereeing.
game. It's
One
not as if he's
game.
not
Should have been
sanctioned.
two.
The NRL needs to be really clear on where they are in this, and they're not. And Andrew Abdo and Peter V'landys are entitled to say to the judiciary, and again, I reckon they need to get ex-officials in there.
Well, there are, Kenty.
Ex-referees.
There's ex-officials on the judiciary panel.
Yeah, well,
It's not just former
get rid of the
players.
players, because the players are always siding on the side of the players, and they're always, and often to the point where they actually don't understand what the charge is there for or what the
Well,
offence
Jeff
actually
Baillieu's
is.
there. He's a
He's
QC,
there to
isn't he?
advise.
He
He's there
advises
to
them.
advise.
judge.
It's a two-man panel. He's there to advise and break a deadlock.
So we're
And
saying he can't make those guys
he
understand.
can advise them. He can advise them. But if they still vote 2-0, he doesn't cast a vote.
Yeah, but he
can
explains
advise-
to them what the situation
He
is.
does.
And gives them guidance.
And sometimes it's like trying to describe maths to a
what?
school kid.
All right, now it's time for our bold predictions brought to you by the 7-seed Isuzu MUX. Go your own way. What are our bold predictions this week?
I'm going to start off, Reedy, because I reckon there's a bit of a story here. Again, this will sound mad. The West
You never
Tigers
see
got
Homer,
beat.
the Chinese
No,
never
hold
sound
on.
mad,
The
Buzz.
West Tigers got beaten 72-6, in case you forgot, last weekend. I'm tipping them to bounce back and beat St George Illawarra.
Wow.
The reason being is, and James Hooper touched on this 4 or 5 weeks ago on the Fox website, there is drama in the playing group at St George Illawarra. There are some disgruntled players who are not happy the way things are going, and I think they've turned it up for the year.
It must be bad if you're predicting this.
Well, I think 2 nights ago you were
must be
saying there was a
bad.
problem with West Tigers.
You're
so I don't
trying
know
to
how
get
your
back in
logic works
Sheen's
there.
good books, are you?
No, I'm not.
You are.
Sorry,
He's back on the sheens.
sorry for trying to background. you on
Clearly
what
you've had a
happened.
conversation with Sheensy, haven't
No,
you?
I haven't.
Come on.
He gave me life, Kent. He always
It's not the first time, won't be the last.
No, he's given me life half a dozen times.